Thank you both for agreeing to chat all things New Life. I caught the film at it was at Fantasia last year, so and it's been one of those films that's kind of really stuck with me um in that time, and when this opportunity presented itself, I sort of kind of had to jump on it. I mean, for you two as as actors, what was it about this script and these roles that spoke to you when you first read it?
Um, I think that anytime you get a movie that's a two-hander with two strong women in it, that's just not an opportunity to be missed. And to do a strong movie with two women that's genre means that people will actually watch it. So to be really nuts and bolts about it, that was a piece of it, because there's too many great character films that four people see and that never make the light of day. But you put this whole other element onto what is really a character horror, I mean, drama. Um, then you've got ingredients that mean that you've got something that you can put your heart and soul in, knowing that people will actually see, and that felt like a real that felt like a win. And then talking to John and hearing his commitment to getting the ALS piece of it right and authentic, hearing what his vision was for the effects and how those were going to be practical, they weren't going to be put in later, which meant that we could actually react to what was physically happening. All of those things went a long, long way to me being like, yeah, I think I really want to do this.
I really enjoyed the
Right.
script. The script blew me away, and I wanted to see the movie as soon as I read the script, which is always a good sign.
Mm.
And yeah, I just felt like it was a great opportunity to build a really interesting character. It's my first film. I've been working in television for decades now, but I was really excited to take a stab at this, and yeah, I really enjoyed building this character and experiencing this crazy wild ride that we went on.
I think given the trauma that we've all experienced living through the pandemic, I think New Life has this whole other extra layer of resonance for the audiences today. How was it sort of navigating that whilst filming? Because I think, for me, as I say, sort of watching it, I find it confronting. But I mean, you guys must have been filming this at some point, within the pandemic to a degree.
Yeah, I didn't really know what John looked like uh till the end of the movie. I mean, I he was the entire crew was in a mask the entire time of the shoot. Um, so I'm only half joking when I say that, and you know, uh, as actors, you don't have to be in masks as long as everyone else is. Plus, I was in a hazmat suit most of the time, so I couldn't have been more. I was pretty bulletproof by that point. Um, but the experience for me of being directed by someone in a mask, I found very, very hard. I'm so used to glancing at a director to read their face, to get expression from them, to get a nuance, to get an idea of what they're responding to or what they're not. And to only have this is really hard. It's really, really hard. I actually found that more. And I just finished doing an entire season of TV with people in masks. But the difference is I was coming back to do season three, so I already knew all those people. So I knew what an eyebrow raise meant from that gang. But to come and work with a director I'd never met before and a crew I didn't know, and have them all masked. So just on a very technical, practical level, that was actually a real challenge.
Yeah, and I think because it was still, COVID times, as we call it, the experience, while the story that's being told is a story of two women that are quite solitary, it really lended itself to feeling a bit isolated. And
Mhm.
I was living in Ireland at the time, and I was originally hoping to have my family come with me when we did the shoot because I had two young daughters, twins that were 7 months old. And so I thought, why not? I have family in Oregon where we shot the film. It made sense that I would bring my family to come be with my other family while I shot this film. And it's made so much sense in my head. But just because of COVID and just the way that things were at the time, it made it completely impossible. And I think that was something that I took for granted in really lending itself to my kind of my own isolation that I was experiencing at the time, away from my children for the first time.
So that's what, that's part of the big part of the film, is that, these two women, Elsa and Jessica, they spend a lot of the screen time separated. Was that a similar case for you guys on set? Was it a case of you didn't actually interact until your scenes together? And if so, kind of what do you think that helped bring to the piece?
Yeah, I think I got there a little before Hayley, and worked a while, and then Hayley arrived and we did the final scene on Hayley's first day, which was epic for her. Um, and we met on set that day, and then we overlapped for a little bit because then we had locations that we shared, even though we weren't in them at the same time. So then we, might have lunch or hang around in a location, waiting for each one of us to have our turn there. But we didn't, we got to go out to dinner together and talk about babies and what it is to be a mum and what it is to be a working mum and all of those things, which was lovely and a treat to have the company. But it was very little. I think we only had that for what, 4 days up in Joseph or something. So it wasn't a relationship that we got to have. I mean, it's lovely seeing her now, honestly, because I just haven't we didn't get that much time
It's
together.
brief, beautiful but brief.
Yeah.
And you mentioned John earlier. This is his feature debut. He also wrote the story. You've both had long careers, working across television and things. What was it about John that made you believe that he was the right person? What did he bring to this production that maybe somebody else might not have?
He
I
had such a
mean,
big vision. I think he really just, from reading the script itself, I knew that this was something I had never seen before, and it had such a gravitas and a sense of beautiful storytelling, and that it was so open-ended as to how this film would be presented on the screen, and I was really drawn to that. And then John himself just did not disappoint. I mean, the experience of working with him was so pleasant for me, and I'm so excited by the finished product because it took me by surprise. While it still represents the wonderful script that he wrote, I just think he's got such a strong vision, and he's got these big ideas that he's so malleable in trying to find what this film is meant to be. And so he found something really unique. And I think that's an unbelievable skill for a first time writer director.
yeah, I was really comforted talking to him when we first sort of spoke on the phone, and I said to him, "What are your references? What do you see it in the world of?" And all his references were so beautiful, so artistic, um so the genre element felt like it was just going to be a piece of it rather than that was where we were landing it. The one that really resonated for me was, he said, "I keep thinking of Nomad Land, and this lone woman alone with these extraordinary landscapes behind her." And I loved that movie. I just had adored that movie and thought it was so beautiful and so of its moment in the middle of COVID, that was the sort of distillation of what we had going on. Um, and I felt very, very reassured by how literate John is, both in terms of cinema and storytelling, books. His knowledge is really encyclopedic, and so that is just very reassuring to me when you're in the hands of a first-time director. Is if they haven't got a body of work you can look at, you sure want them to have a body of work that they're drawing on, and I felt that.
And my final question to you both: why do you hope that audiences take a chance on this film?
Oh, I think there's something for everyone, unless you're coming looking for a romantic comedy. I mean, I think there's I really do. I'm not a genre girl. I'm really not. And I think this is a true character piece, a wonderful opportunity to watch two actors explore parallel lonelinesses that then disintegrate into something bigger and more explosive. And I think that drama element, that thriller element is really compelling.
Yeah, it manages to surprise you somehow, and I think that's hard to come by in film these days. I feel like every time I see something new, I sit down and I'm like, I know how this is going to end, and then I'm always right. And while it's gratifying, it's not as enjoyable. So that's something that I think no one's going to see it coming.
No, that's true.
It's a really fun experience.
Well, I wish you guys both the best of luck with the film.
Thank you.
Thank you.